Some breaking news. Start NFL Live. Adam Schefter, what do we need to know?
The Buffalo Bills have been looking for a big-name, high-profile wide receiver, and they landed one today from the Chicago Bears in return for their second-round draft pick. The Bills get a fifth-round draft pick and DJ Moore to step in and become the newest target for Josh Allen. Let's remember, DJ Moore played for Joe Brady in Carolina way back when. Now he'll play for Joe Brady again in Buffalo. There are the terms of the trade. The Bills have been in the free agent market for a wide receiver. The Patriots are expected to add a wide receiver, but the two rivals in the AFC East who are going to add to that room, the Bills become the first team in that division to add a productive wide receiver in DJ Moore. We'll see what's on tap for New England next.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more action, right, Adam, to your point. It's no secret that the Bills have been lacking in wide receiver production. Buffalo wideouts ranked in the bottom half of the NFL in many things last season and had as many receiving touchdowns as they had drops. Bills also did not have a single receiver reach 800 yards for the first time since 2018. I wanted to say all that just to really set the table for this show here today, okay? We're here with Mike Tannenbaum, Jeremy Fowler, Sam Acho is with us as well, Adam with us throughout the show. Let's dig in, you guys, beginning with the Bills side of all this. Sam, does this move do enough to overcome some of those bad numbers we just showed?
I think it absolutely does. Obviously, the Bills over the last several years have been a run-first football team with James Cook leading the charge. But now you have DJ Moore, who I believe is a true number one receiver. But he has a number one receiver without all of some of the drama that's been experienced before, not begging or demanding for the ball. Remember, early in his time in Chicago, he was playing, and Justin Fields wasn't the most prolific passer, yet there was still this receiver that stood up for his guys, stood up for his team. And so for me, I think it's the right fit and the perfect fit for the Buffalo Bills.
Sam, I see it slightly different. I think what we have to look at is scouring for a wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills in terms of DJ Moore is a great start. He's under contract for the next 4 years at very reasonable numbers, but I don't think he's a number one bona fide wide receiver at this point in his career. I would love for them to still go maybe draft somebody at 26. This draft is loaded with wide receivers, as we know. Maybe the A.J. Brown trade still potentially in some sort of, limbo relative. Does he get traded to New England? Does he get traded to Buffalo? Does Philly keep him? So I think DJ Moore is a great start, but they have more work to do. If they want to win a championship with this nucleus, they're in a win-now mode. I don't think DJ Moore is a number one at this point in his career.
Yeah, Mike T, the Bills scoured the earth for wide receiver the last 2 weeks. They assessed A.J. Brown's market with the Eagles. They looked at options in free agency like Alec Pierce, Romeo Doubs, Rashid Shaheed. Those players are costly anyway, so the Bills said, hey, if we're going to pay a lot for a receiver, let's go with somebody we're familiar with. Joe Brady, DJ Moore had chemistry. 2020, Moore averaged about 18 yards per catch in that offense in Carolina. So there's familiarity there, and I don't think the Bills are done. I expect either in the draft or with the homework they've done in free agency, they will add another receiver at some point.
Yeah, let's stay on that, Adam. What do you expect the Bills to do? Jeremy's alluding to them adding more. This is a really deep wide receiver class in the draft. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I think the Bills had a big move. I think this may have been the Bills' big move, but I think the Bears could continually also now be active. Obviously, I think they've checked in on Max Crosby. A lot of people wondering if they would make a move for Tyler Linderbaum in free agency, the center. They lost their center this week, Drew Dahlman, to a surprising early retirement, and still have to plug that hole. So the Bears are expected to be active here over the next week of free agency. So Jeremy says the Bills aren't through. I don't think the Bears are through. The league year gets underway next week, and we've already seen 4 trades agreed to this week.
And I think that Tyler Linderbaum, that name would be a perfect fit for Chicago. Think about Ryan Poles and where he came from in his history in Kansas City. What do? They love protecting the inside for their quarterback. So I think that's a perfect fit. Now, when it comes to the trade that just happened, I think that Chicago's in a perfect position. They already have Luther Burden on a rookie contract, Rome Odunze on a rookie contract, Colston Loveland at tight end on a rookie contract, Cole Kmet. So they have the weapons at receiver. They did not need DJ Moore. So now we're just attacking that inside, and obviously you can go get pass rusher as well.
Yeah, let's spend a little bit more time on the Bears side of all this, because it's really interesting the way you guys are alluding to it. Okay, so when you look at what they're saving, this saves $16.5 million in cap space by trading DJ Moore to the Bills, which puts them just shy of $6 million to work with ahead of free agency next week. That's a big deal as we continue to talk through this, and we now have Courtney Cronin here, our Bears reporter. Send those guys out, send Courtney in. Courtney, let's spin it forward. Chicago now has some money to spend, so how do you see them using it?
So it's the 16.5 with DJ Moore. It's the potential 10 that they could recoup, obviously, with Drew Dahlman. We don't know how much of the signing bonus, but that's neither here nor there. That's a lot of money, and they might not be done yet. Because remember, Tremaine Edmonds was given the flexibility to go seek out a trade, which if that doesn't go through and they do end up releasing him, that's another $15 million. This points to them being very active in free agency, like Adam said. So when there is a Tyler Lindenbaum on the market, who, when I talked with sources at the NFL Combine, believe that he will be the highest paid interior offensive lineman, north of $22.5 million a year. Now the Bears are in position to afford a player like that they can plug and play right next to their all-pro protector of the year, Joe Thuney, right there at left guard. But in addition, they now have 4 picks in the top 89 of the draft order. That second pick that they got, second-round pick from the Buffalo Bills, is very helpful. If there is a trade on the table, maybe it is for a Max Crosby, keeping that pass rusher market in play here, whether it's a trade, whether it's now having the room to go after someone like Trey Hendrickson, Bradley Chubb, their options, based on their financial flexibility that they now have, are a lot more open to fill several voids, because we know the trenches are where the Bears have a lot of needs in free agency.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of changes for Caleb, too.
Yep.
You think new OC, new center. Now they're going to have no DJ Moore. I mean, he does have the other weapons, but it will be different for him at quarterback.
Yeah, and that's the reason. Like, they looked at this and they said, DJ Moore is a luxury piece on this offense. It wasn't somebody that they wanted to get rid of, but when you see how his role changed, he used to be the run after catch guy, the guy that Caleb Williams during year 1 would look to at the line of scrimmage on the screen passes. He had more targets than anybody else in the league on passes that traveled less than 10 yards downfield. So now his role became something where the Bears knew that they could move on. They believe in Rome Odunze being their number 1 receiver despite the health issues last year. They believe in Luther Burden. And frankly, Laura, all of this came into play because of Colston Loveland's rookie season. He exploded last year. The tight end is a big part of this passing game. So having DJ Moore would have been nice, but they know that they have a lot of other holes they have to fill on this roster, so moving him was the best option for the Bears.
Colston Loveland, just good for ball. That guy's fun to watch. Appreciate you, Courtney. Let's get to some more trade action as we're just flying around here. We get closer to free agency, which all becomes official next week. The Rams traded with the Chiefs for Trent McDuffie. Big move here. Rams right back in FM picks mode, right? They get key help in their secondary. The Chiefs add big draft capital now with the 29th pick to pair with the 9th overall pick in the first round. And here's what the Rams are getting, right? McDuffie elevates a Rams secondary that was already pretty solid last season, but had their troubles against the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. They went 1-2, losing both games in Seattle, and allowed 1.5 yards more per target against the Seahawks compared to every other opponent. So, Adam, let's start with you. Walk us through just how this deal all came together.
The Rams have been targeting the cornerback position. They went through the free agent cornerbacks and decided, do we want to go for a free agent cornerback, or do we want to make a bold move, the type of move that they've made in the past before? We've seen them pull off trades for Marcus Peters, for Jalen Ramsey, for all sorts of defensive backs. And once again, they've done it this time. And they figured that by trading for a player in Trent McDuffie, who's from the Los Angeles area, who desired to come back to the Rams, who's eligible for a contract extension, they could sign him to an extension and still get the benefits of the deal he had, or the year he had remaining on his deal this year. And so at some point here in the coming days, I expect that they'll get a long-term deal worked out with Trent McDuffie, and they get a cornerback that they believe would have been the best cornerback on the free agent market by far. They get a cornerback that they believe is one of the top players at his position in the National Football League, and they plug him into their defense. They had an extra first-round draft pick courtesy of the trade with the Atlanta Falcons last year when they got an extra first-round pick for trading away their second-round pick, which James Pierce, the Falcons took. And now the Rams surrendered one of those picks for a player they had identified as one of the top guys at his position.
Yeah, Adam, the Rams set out to improve their defense, get faster in the middle of the defense on the back end. So they've addressed cornerback. They could look at linebacker, try to get a little faster there. They're going to try to re-sign Cam Curl, their safety. But they knew that defense on the back end cost them a year ago. Where now Kansas City, they're clearly banking on their draft and their ability to get marquee players at cheap rookie-scale labor.
Yeah, I mean, Mike T, look, the reality is the Rams are like, we're in our Super Bowl window, so price is all relative. But is McDuffie, you think, worth the price tag of a first-round pick?
Absolutely. I love Trent McDuffie. He can cover, he can blitz. He is outstanding. He can play man-to-man. He can play zone. And again, if we're building the Rams guys, we got to go beat the Seahawks. We didn't have a corner that could cover Jackson Smith and Jigba one-on-one. We do now. And as Adam alluded to, we still have a first-round pick. I don't like this move. I love this move. Matt Stafford is obviously much closer to the end than he is to the beginning of his career. You have the Super Bowl champs in your division, and you say to yourself, how do we beat them? We got to cover Smith and Jigba, especially on third down. McDuffie can do that.
That you have a first-round pick. It's where that first-round pick is. The Rams traded away pick number 29. They still have pick number 13 in the first round. And so if they want to have a win-now culture, which they do have, they can also get their quarterback for the future in a guy like Ty Simpson. People might say the 13 is high. Well, maybe the Rams can even trade back and still get their quarterback who can develop for maybe a year or so under Matthew Stafford. Behind Matthew Stafford, you have Trent McDuffie to win now, and you win for the sustainable future. So I love the trade for a couple reasons. Number one, you have that early pick, but number two, you're still in a position to get a guy that can lead your team for the next several years. For the first 8-9 games of the season, Ty Simpson was the best quarterback in football. There were some injuries, the play suffered down the line, but this is a guy you can build around. And so I think it's a great move for the Rams. They can win now, but they could also win down the line.
And we've seen the Rams do this time and time again. They don't care about the first-round picks, but they really don't care about the first-round picks in the years in which the Super Bowl is going to be played at SoFi Stadium. The last time SoFi Stadium hosted a Super Bowl in the offseason before, the Rams traded for Matthew Stafford. Now, the Super Bowl is going to be back at SoFi Stadium February 14, 2027, as I believe I heard on ESPN and ABC. And the Rams now have traded for arguably the best cornerback out there in Trent McDuffie. They are not afraid to go after a player that they feel like is a steep price, who's going to be a big upgrade on their team, especially when Los Angeles is hosting a Super Bowl.
Adam, did you say the Super Bowl is going to be on ESPN and ABC? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying there. By the way, I saw you tweet that out, and I thought, only Adam. Only Adam reminds us of these things that just may or may not really matter, but somehow they always do, because Adam knows all. We got a lot more coming your way. We got to 3 moves that happened in the A block. There's a lot more still to talk about. The Patriots moving on from Stephon Diggs, who will be Drake May's next weapon. Our crew weighs in on